Top Gear India. As you have seen on the thumbnail, we are doing a very interesting comparison today. Indian motorcycling community has been blessed with 3 different fuel options as we move into 2025 and into the future. It is CNG, the ICE itself, and electric. And guess what? You do not have to have a lot of money to avail either one of these options, because all these motorcycles are priced under 1 lakh. And this is an amazing time to be alive as a journalist as well, because this comparison has given us a lot of perspective on what the future is going to be, and also how Indians or the OEM manufacturers or everybody are trying to do their own betting into what the future will be. And due to that, we have the world's first CNG, but more on that later. So without much further ado, let me at least show you what the contenders are. On the ICE side, we have the Hero Xtreme 125R, a very capable commuter, but the looks of it all says that it has some R factor in it. And then comes the world's first CNG motorcycle, which is the Bajaj Freedom 125. And wow, a CNG engine, what more do you have to say? And also how you can supermoto that motorcycle, like really cool. And last but not the least, also from an Indian manufacturer, the RV1 Plus, which is also a very capable motorcycle and an electric motorcycle at that. And all of this khichdi can be availed in 1 lakh. So we have broken it down into a lot of segments so that it helps you decide what you want. And without much further ado, and with a lot of excitement, let us get down to it. So now let's talk about the first thing, that is appearance. Because when you look at a motorcycle, you look at a motorcycle first.
अरे कहना क्या चाहते हो?
So each of them have taken a very interesting play, and I think they have divided the market segment amongst them. Why do I say that? Let us take the first example, the Hero Xtreme 125R. Now that motorcycle is a very capable commuter. Everything about it, the looks, the fit and finish, the entire digital instrument cluster, the switch gauge, everything is spot on. There is very little wrong that you can find about the fit and finish of the motorcycle. The thing is how it looks. Now, it looks very aggressive, it looks very youthful, and for that, I think it will polarize the market quite a lot. It will not be a bike that a lot of people will be okay buying, and it is not a lot of people will be excited by it. I think it has its own market, it has a very youthful and young market, but when you see from an overall aspect, the design really doesn't translate into the way it rides, firstly. And secondly, the youthful charm of it all, I completely understand, and I do give double thumbs up for that. It's just that when it comes to the entire market segment, when I have to look at it from a bigger perspective, कि आप अपने usage के लिए कैसे देख रहे हैं, तो किसी को इतना striking bike नहीं चाहिए होगा. So that is why I personally believe that due to the polarizing thing, it is not the winner. It does look strikingly cool, and the fit and finish qualities are really good as an OEM, as it should be. It's just that I don't personally click with it also at some point, but I do have a valid reason why not to. Then comes the RV1. The RV1 from afar will look like a very appealing motorcycle, if I must say. Yes, it is a little skinny to look at, but then if you look at it from a distance, there has been a decent amount of thought put into it, trying to make it look appealing. Now, people might say it has the old boxer headlight and everything, but that's not the bigger problem that we need to address. What happens is, once you get closer to the bike, you start seeing all the problems that it tries to hide. Like the fit and finish quality on all of them are not up to par, and especially when you put it next to an OEM, it does fall short quite a bit. But argumentatively, here's my say, it does do the fit and finish quality of everything a lot better than from quite a lot of other EVs that are there in the market. So from there, I understand that they're doing quite a bit, and also to get a bike of electricity under 1 lakh is quite a big of a challenge, especially when you're not an OEM. So me giving this shit about their quality is also a little bit half-hearted because they are not an OEM company and they will need a few iterations to get at par to the OEM levels. So with that said, it is a very good attempt at them trying to bring a 1 lakh bike with that sort of looks and that sort of fit and finish. They can do better. I think they could have done better right from the get-go as well, but then every company needs to come to market very fast. So that's their challenge. And now comes to the PSG Resistance, the Bajaj Freedom 125. Absolutely strikingly beautiful motorcycle. I don't know how Bajaj managed to do that with a CNG. Bartley fit into it. Best thing, you don't get to see the CNG bottle. So that way it is a very good looking motorcycle, I would say, especially with the treadless frame and everything. As when you look it from the back, when you look from the front, it looks like, yes, it is something different. And it is not polarizing at the same time. It is not sporty-ish that you will not be able to avail it or, want to sit on it, provided you are not on that age group. So from that perspective, I believe that the Bajaj Freedom 125 is the winner. The fit and finish quality is there, OEM level standard, spot on. The instrument cluster is very decent enough and gives you all the information that you need to see. The switch gears are spot on again. And yes, it looks like a good motorcycle. It has the flat seat which gives it a differentiator look. And it is not polarizing at the same time, and its fit and finish quality is also good. So as you can see, with all that said, in the appearance section, Bajaj Freedom 125 is the winner. So once you have looked into the bike, you would sit on it, and when you sit on it, it brings the section of ergonomics. Those videos like this would not be possible without the help of our supporters, and because videos like this do take a lot of effort on the behind of the scene. And for this video, our supporter is Apollo Trampler tires. Now Apollo Trampler tires are really good motorcycle tires that actually are able to conquer every terrain that you can think of and give you unparalleled grip while doing so. Not only that, the steel radial tires give a lot of durability and unmatched stability and riding control over the terrains that you go to. They want to champion exploration, and as you can see, these features aid you to take you and your motorcycle into locations that you have never been before. How do they do that? Big W-shaped tread blocks with open grooves that help to push water, mud and everything else out of the tire grooves so that you get maximum tire grip and traction on the road. Not only that, the Apollo Trampler tires also come with tire life indicators which tell you when you need to change your tires, because sometimes you don't know exactly when you need to change your tires, and also if you know how much your tire is degrading, you know how much you're riding or how you're riding at the same time. Inspired by the love of exploration, the tire walls of the Apollo Trampler tires also have adventure locations imprinted on them to showcase how hardcore and how towards exploration they are. So, on your next adventure, on your next exploration journey, don't forget Apollo Trampler tires. With that said, back to the video. In the ergonomics section, also, it's a very interesting take on how these motorcycles have designed themselves up to get the most comfortable commuter aspect. So let's start with the Hero Xtreme 125R. Xtreme 125R. So many racing and extreme and everything, but if you want the best sitting commuter in all of these three, I think the Hero Xtreme 125R is the absolute, gem of a motorcycle from an ergonomics perspective. If you take all of these, dashing looks, those striking, appealing graphics and everything, take them all apart. It's a very good commuter. You sit on it in a very commuter perspective and you will enjoy doing short city commutes or even do highway rides at the same time on it. It is very comfortable, nimble, and you will be able to chuck the bike here and there. It is quite light as well on its toes. For that, I would say they are little half-assing it with the whole R perspective in it, but then at the same time, look at the prospective buyer. They're going to be the first rider, or that's going to be the first bike for them. So they would need something commuterish so that it's comfortable as well, and the striking looks just go with it. Rear seat also, I think the Hero 125R is quite good, quite capable. And it is not the worst out of the bunch. And the handlebars also at the right position, you will be very comfortable. I can't stress enough how many times I've said comfortable in this whole section. Now coming down to the most challengeful contender, which is the RV1. So it's a little interesting like how they have thought the ergonomics of this bike. Because ergonomics wise, when you sit on this bike, the foot pegs are quite high up. So it is confusing on how you would sit on the bike, and it's more extreme version of a Royal Enfield Bullet, I would say. So it's very interesting on how they have thought ki yes, this is the way people should sit on the bike. But however, I'm not going to bash the ergonomics completely because it's uncomfortable for a different reason. That's the seat. The seat is so soft on the RV1 Plus that you will be squished to the bottom of the seat within like a few minutes of sitting on it. And I weigh 100 kilos with all my gear. So I was easily squished on the full foam of the motorcycle. Now, the foam of the seat is to be blamed. And that is not an extreme problem, I would say, because you can go out to any seat guy and get your seat sorted out. But shouldn't this be sorted on a manufacturer's section? And the seat is so narrow also. So with a foam that is not going to support your weight and with such a narrow seat, ergonomically it feels quite a bit for me to call it a comfortable bike. It will do its job. You will not be extremely uncomfortable, but then you will be uncomfortable nonetheless. And if you are on rugged roads, if you are on off-roads, the bike will go, but then you will feel all the jerks on your back. Now coming to the Bajaj 125. Very interesting way on how you sit on the motorcycle because they have put a flat seat on it. I understand why they put a flat seat. It's because the design lets you hide the CNG tank. It results in a lot of space that you can sit on and also hug the motorcycle with your knees really well. So that is a really good place for me to sit on, and also the handlebars are kept at a very good. The whole rider's triangle, like leave the handlebar. The whole concoction that works because of this flat seat is amazing. But then due to the flat seat, whether you're sitting on the rider seat or whether you're sitting on the back, or whether you're doing an even more blasphemous thing of putting 3 people together on the motorcycle, every one of you would be comfortable. So with all that said, I think this round's winner should go to the Bajaj Freedom as well, because it is a commuter, but it has a lot of additives when it comes to being a commuter motorcycle as well. There's a lot more things you can do with it. There's a lot more capabilities that you can unlock from only a ergonomics perspective. So in the ergonomics section, this is again the winner. So after you've looked at the bike, you have sat on it, you start the engine, and that brings us to the engine section of this comparison. So let me give you some context. The Bajaj Freedom has a 125cc petrol and CNG single-cylinder engine that churns out 9.5 bhp at 8,000 rpm.
The Revolt RV1 Plus gives off 2.8 kW of power, which results in 3.7 bhp. Battery capacity is at 3.24 kWh, and the range is 160 km IDC. Whereas the Hero Xtreme 125R churns off 11.4 bhp at 8,250 rpm, and torque comes at 10.5 Newton meters at 6,500 rpm. It's a single-cylinder 125cc engine.
So let us talk about the best one first, the Bajaj Freedom by far, because world's first CNG engine, it is quite an achievement on its own, and it's a very beautiful engine because it does both the aspects of petrol and CNG firstly, and it also is a very capable and smooth engine. That was the more shocking aspect for me. The more higher up you go in the speed, the more smoother it gets. And that's quite beautiful to say the least. And it does triple digits quite smoothly and properly. Like you will reach 100 and you will stay there. It's going to be with you. So it's something that I really did not think going into this Comparo that the engine would be so good. And that was quite baffling because it is the world's first CNG engine, and for them to do it this nicely, it is very uncanny. It is a very tractable engine as well. You need to rev it out a little bit to get into the whole torque flow, once you go there, you'll be very comfortable. You can push it for city limit commuting, you can push it for highway commuting as well, and the engine will always stay with you. The only thing is, you will find that when you're in CNG mode, the engine is a little stressed, and as compared to when it's on its petrol mode. So that is something that you will feel, but other than that, the engine is quite a beautiful engine to look back 50 years from now and say, yes, Bajaj did this engine as its world's first CNG engine. So with all that praises that I have given it, and as should it deserves, let us go to the RV1. The RV1 Plus has a weak engine out of all of the three. If you take two people and if you are on a decently steep gradient, you will have an issue. I think we have a little bit of a footage from that aspect, and I think our editor will put it on right now. Like, if you sit solo on the motorcycle, the motor is more than capable enough to get you to its speed limit of 65, 70, and it's going to stay there, and it's not going to be too much of an issue while it's there. Nothing on the engine feels stressed, nothing on the motor feels stressed actually, and I'll give it credit where it's due. However, the thing is, when you start putting load on it, it becomes a little bit of a challenge. You will understand that the motor is getting stressed. And when you are comparing to, let's say, a Bajaj Freedom or even a Hero Xtreme 125R, you know that its capabilities are quite limited, to say the least. But nonetheless, let it not take you away from the fact that it is a sprightly motorcycle. Once you get up to speed, it will stay there, and it will stay there quite beautifully. So I'm a little torn when I have to give the review of the engine for the RV1 Plus, because when I'm solo on the motorcycle, nothing about it feels off from an engine perspective. It has the needful power and torque bandwidth needed for you to commute anywhere and commute anywhere peacefully at that. However, it does fall short when it comes to the comparison of these two, because these two can reach higher numbers and these two can reach faster numbers as well. So it falls a little short over there. And also, one interesting thing I feel that a lot of electric manufacturers are getting it wrong is that when you're on the lowest mode, your acceleration is hindered to quite a huge extent. So if you have to make quick overtakes, you will have to change modes and then go and do an overtake. So that, I feel, is a negative response. I feel Ather does this pretty well because their acceleration is unhindered. The speed limits are limited to whichever mode they are in. But in all of them, your acceleration is always on point. So comparing that to the RV1 Plus, I feel that when it's on its eco mode, the acceleration of it is quite limited. So your city commuting, or even let's say tier 2, tier 3 commuting, would be a little bit of a challenge. You may have to sometimes switch into the higher sports mode to get the best out of the motor. And now comes down to the Hero Xtreme 125R. Surprisingly, the least interesting motorcycle engine over here, because on one side you have a CNG vehicle, one side you have an electric vehicle, so the ICE feels quite dinosaurous at this point. So the engine is capable enough that it will do all your city commuting work, but at the same time, if you try and push it, it will tell you not to do so, with vibrations and other stuff. So it will do triple digits as well, not as comfortably as the Bajaj Freedom does, surprisingly, but it will do so. And there is tractability in the vehicle, so whether you're sitting with a pillion, whether you're sitting alone, it is not going to be an issue like the RV1 Plus has. So it is also sprightingly good that way. And for some reason, if you do not want to believe in a CNG future, if you don't want to believe in an electric future, this engine is a very good example of how far ICEs have come over the years and how efficient they have become. Because also this gives like 60 kmpl to the liter. So it's, amazing to see how good an ICE engine can be. But with that said, if I had to pick a winner, I would obviously choose the Bajaj Freedom because it is capable on both petrol as well as CNG. It does triple digits really well. The engine is very stress-free once it goes on the higher numbers, and it's also tractable within the city area. So that leads me into the conclusion that the Bajaj Freedom is the winner from the engine perspective, and also it's the world's first CNG. So kind of the entire thing has to go there. So now let's come down to a very interesting aspect, that is riding dynamics. Now riding dynamics as a subject is very interesting to me because I'm a motorcyclist. But let me break it down to you in a way that every regular motorcyclist will also get something out of it. I will not approach it from a racy or a pushing the limits perspective. Let us see what these commuter motorcycles have to offer in commuterish environment. So let us start with the Hero Xtreme 125R. Now the Xtreme 125R is, like I've said, is a very capable commuter motorcycle right from its sitting position all the way to how the engine performs. So it's quite a light vehicle, not the lightest in this comparison, but it stands at 140 kilograms, give or take, and you will be able to push it through traffic or even go through tight squeezes, and also be able to, rely on the motorcycle to be unadulterated with you. You know its capabilities, you know its limitations also, but if you stay within the limitations of the motorcycle, which is regular commuting stuff, stopping at regular speeds, going at regular distances, this will not give you any reactions that you will not anticipate. And after a certain given point of time, you will feel that this becomes a very good place because you don't have to think of things that will come and attack you or bite you. But then, however, if you are trying to push this vehicle, or if it's your first vehicle and you want to, be a motorcyclist and see what your own capabilities are, this will fall short there, because let the looks not deceive you. The looks say that it's an R, which stands for racing or some sort of racing aspect. It does not translate into the riding dynamics of it, because when you try to push the vehicle, the front dampers are so soft and the suspension is so soft that you will kind of fall short when you're leaning on the motorcycle, and you will feel that the motorcycle is not capable enough to take all those inputs in, and that leads you to a little bit of a dangerous side as a motorcyclist, which I would prefer that you don't be on a regular basis. So keep the Xtreme 125R to its commuting stuff. The suspension is on the softer side. Anything that you feel that you will do on the road or off the road, we have a little bit of a footage that shows how it does off the road. If you stay at decent speeds, it will do everything comfortably. Just don't push it. Just don't see that the Hero Xtreme 125R is not meant to be pushed. Do your regular stuff. It will take all the bumps that the city has to provide, or even rural lands have to provide, and it will do it quite comfortably and keep you in a very commuter, no bullshit approach as well. And also the tires, it's quite narrow, so do not expect a lot of lean angle out of it. Now let's come down to the second position, the Bajaj Freedom. Why the Bajaj Freedom is in number 2 when it comes to riding dynamics, and what has Revolt done to me? Have they given me money? Absolutely not for this project. So I'll get to it. Hold on, guys. So the Bajaj Freedom 125 gets the second position because yes, it is a very capable motorcycle. It will also supermoto to a certain extent if you are going to push the capabilities. The seat is long enough that you can sit right in the front and put all your load on the front suspension, and trust me, the front suspension can take it. And as long as you're doing, let's say, comfortable speeds or trying to do all of these activities in comfortable speeds, you will be able to thrash the motorcycle. You'll be able to push the motorcycle to a lot of bad limits. And you as a motorcyclist can also grow with it. But push that aside, it is also a very capable commuter motorcycle because of the long seat and the way you sit, or the tractable engine. It is very easy to maneuver this motorcycle around traffic and also take it on long highways. You will never be uncomfortable sitting on the motorcycle, and the riding dynamics of it all is quite comfortable as well. I wouldn't say it's sporty, but it is also not an extreme commuter. So from a riding perspective, its dampers are also a little on the harder set. It's not as soft as the Hero Xtreme 125R, and due to that, you will be able to push this motorcycle a lot more than the Hero Xtreme 125R. And it is the heaviest here with 149 kilograms. But then if you are doing regular light work in the city, it will not be a problem to maneuver this vehicle around. Also, the front rake degree is quite interesting on this motorcycle, which actually lets you put a lot of the weight on the front when you're braking or whenever you're trying to maneuver the motorcycle. So that way also, this motorcycle is a lot easy to live with. And there, I must say, it is a lot more easier to live with than the Hero Xtreme 125R as well. And the reason why it gets a second position is because it has a naughty side. So I try to do a lot of supermoto stuff with it. I know we shouldn't do, I know that it makes no sense at all, but hear me out. Sometimes you would want to push yourself as a motorcyclist as well. And if you look apart from the whole angle, and I'm talking to the 1% of the universe right now. So if you want to grow as a motorcyclist as well, this motorcycle has a very interesting way of letting you know that yes, you can try all of these as well. So riding dynamics perspective wise also, since it has a little bit of a, let's say, jackpot to unlock, it gets the second position in this section. Now coming down to the first position, the Revolt RV1 Plus. Why does it get the first position when it comes to riding dynamics? Because it's a very light motorcycle and you can push the hell out of this motorcycle. I was surprisingly shocked when I rode this motorcycle solo, I would say, because it is so light. You can easily maneuver this around anywhere. You can go on rocks, boulders, you can do extreme off-road stuff with it, as long as you tighten the nut bolts after you're commuting. But then no matter what the roads have to offer, no matter what you're facing on cities or even in rural areas, this has the surprising capability to take on everything and not let all the bumps come into your hands as well. I know the suspension setup of this looks quite weak, but then looks are deceiving. It will do all your commuting stuff also pretty nicely, and when you're pushing it, since this is a light motorcycle, you will enjoy pushing this the most. We have done a really small ghati section where I know this doesn't solve the purpose of this whole comparison. I think only 1% of the people would do so. But then if you are going to push the motorcycle, this is the most interesting one out of them all. And since it has the dual discs on the front and back, this tops the best as well out of them all. And it's just acceleration on and acceleration off. So from a riding perspective also, this is the easiest to ride out of the three. No gear shifts, no nothing. Both the brakes work perfectly. And surprisingly, it is a very stable chassis. It is a very stable motorcycle chassis. I don't know how they have done it, how they cooked it. I know I have talked about just flaws up until now for this. But then from here, from a riding perspective, I think they have really sorted out their motorcycle, and this is one of the gem of an EV that you can find under 1 lakh. Now let us come down to a very interesting section, which is the running cost, and which will also be the final section before we come down to the verdict. Now, running cost is very important for this section, and we have to talk about it because it is priced under 1 lakh, and a lot of the people who will be availing this motorcycle range or will be looking at this Comparo for information will always have to keep running cost in mind, because those are the reasons Bajaj Freedom has put the CNG, and also Revolt has gone up and made the RV1 Plus. It is all about running cost. So running cost for the Hero Xtreme 125R, as we have calculated, is the costliest. It comes down to 1.2 rupee per kilometer. The Bajaj Freedom comes next, which is 0.8 per kilometer. And last but not the least, also the winner, let's say in some ways, is the Revolt RV1 Plus with 0.25 to 0.5 rupees per kilometer. Now, in our test, we have understood that the running cost of this vehicle will allow you to also earn a living out of it, because a lot of the users of it will be from a section where they can earn out of their motorcycles, or at least have a living out of their motorcycles. So from that perspective, the running cost will be kept at a very low if you choose the Revolt RV1 Plus. But running cost also has the service cost included, and that tells you a different side of the story. So if you take the RV1 Plus, what we have heard is that Revolt does not have a very good service nature or does not have a very good service record. So just do not see the 0.25 and the 0.5 rupee per kilometer aspect. You also have to see the service cost of it or how the service experience would be. Now on that case, I think both the OEMs, Hero and Bajaj, are really on point and really go the distance to showcase how servicing is done in an OEM level. And that is where the RV1 falls short, because we have heard a lot of stories where Revolt has not been able to give good customer experience to their customers, and that has translated into a lot of shout on the internet. By the way, for this very comparison, we had charged the Revolt RV1 Plus in a snacks shop that we always go and have snacks at during our shoots. So we went there and we charged the Revolt RV1 Plus to 100 before I went back home. So with that sort of flexibility that comes, I think the cost of ownership, the ownership experience comes to a good balance with the RV1 Plus. I know Revolt has a little issues. They will work on it. Hopefully they work on it after they see in this video. But then, but for all these reasons, whether good and bad, all in a concoction, I think the RV1 Plus will take the winner in this segment. Now for the final verdict. It is quite difficult to tell your verdict, to be honest, because these are three motorcycles that are trying to showcase three different fuel options of the future and are doing pretty good while trying to give these three options to you. That too under 1 lakh price range. But whether you like dinosaur juice, dinosaur farts, or the power of Zeus, you have to come down to a verdict. Okay, so who shall be number 3? I feel it's the Hero Xtreme 125R. The reason, because it is the least interesting motorcycle of the three. I know, it has the most stunning looks and still is the least and is the most boring one as well. But then let not be the boring one be taken as a negative issue. Let's put it in this perspective that this motorcycle will be doing all the things that you need out of a commuter very nicely, and it will do so without giving you much problems, and will also do so with really good fit and finish, really good parts availability, cost of ownership, ownership experience, the way it handles, it will do all of them pretty decently. And also to the quality levels, it is right there up at par with any OEM motorcycle that you can think of. But again, due to its polarizing looks, due to its limitation of how well you can use the motorcycle, the riding dynamics, the sitting posture of it all, I feel that this gets the 3rd place. On the whole, if you are a young audience and you want to bash me for putting it at 3rd place, please feel free to do so. If you do like the looks of the motorcycle, you can go ahead and purchase it. But then in this verdict, it comes at number 3. Number 2 is, for me, the Revolt RV1 Plus. Now, it might be the best motorcycle if you take it under contention that what motorcycles are available from in the EV world. So if you take the EV world, I think under 1 lakh price range, this is predominantly the best motorcycle that you can find out. Yes, it has its n number of flaws. The seats of the riding position is a little bit weird. The ergonomics is a little challenged because of all of this concoction, but at the same time it hides a little bit of a jewel in it. It hides the gem aspect that it can do all the tasks that you would need out of your daily motorcycle that you need to earn a living out of, and it will do so without any hindrance. If 2 people sit on it, then you might have challenges going up hills, but then how many times will you be on a motorcycle like this and be in hilly sections? Very few to none. So with that said, amongst the 3 of all of this, it falls in the 2nd position. The ownership experience needs to be worked on by Revolt a little bit, but however, if you keep all of that aside, the way it can keep its charger inside and be carried around anywhere, the detachable battery, the riding dynamics, the brakes, and also the range that it gives, 120, we did get close to 100 and 120. Yes, I did not ride it that extremely. Maybe if I do ride it extremely, I might come down to 80, 85, but then that is the least that I'll come down to, I think. Because this range that it gives, it's pretty good. And then coming down to the winner of the comparison, which is the Bajaj Freedom. I'm really happy in some ways because the world's first CNG motorcycle, which has been developed by an Indian OEM manufacturer, is one of the most capable motorcycles in this class, if not the most capable motorcycle in this class. You can ride it in a commuting angle. You can actually be very sprightly with it. You can actually ring the bike around. You can feel the weight movement of it. The chassis is very planted. It will let you do all those shenanigans. You can do supermoto in it. I know nobody in this planet will do it, but please don't kill me for finding out that yes, you can actually use the seat. You can actually come to the front end of the motorcycle and put all your weight on the front wheel and see the rear end just slip and slide and do whatever you want. I know a lot now, again, like I'm mentioning again and again, I know a lot of people won't do it, but then it's really good to see that it has hidden capabilities that you might find. And as a motorcyclist myself, your motorcycle should always have a little bit of headroom to give you better experiences, whether you use it for a daily drive or whether you use it for your own usage otherwise, like if you want to earn a living out of it and etc. This motorcycle will do all of them, and this is highly economical as well. You might see very big lines outside CNG stations, but trust me, when you come up to the CNG station with a motorcycle, they'll be very happy to give you their spot because they just want to see how a motorcycle fills up on CNG. And all of this for a price range of 1 lakh ex-showroom. It's quite phenomenal for what amount of technology, for what amount of innovation you can get for that price. And I think for this very reason, it is the winner of our comparison. And a motorcycle that uses dinosaur farts is the actual winner. It's very uncanny to me, but that is what our final verdict is. That is what we have come down to a conclusion after testing it a lot. Like I have bunny hopped each of these motorcycles, and I think our editor has a part of it where I've bunny hopped the RV1 Plus as well. So we have done a lot of things, we have done a lot of testing, and through all of that, the most innovative product in this comparison has turned out to be the winner. Thank you for taking your time out to actually see this video through. If you like our video, if you like our comparison, please do give us a like. If you think somebody might benefit from this video and is trying to buy or trying to figure out what the future of our two-wheeler automotive industry is, please share it. And if you think otherwise, if you want to have a conversation with us, or even if you want to give your insight from which we may even change or even may upgrade our own opinion, please do write it in our comments. Thank you so much for watching Top Gear India. My name is Akash, and we'll see you in the next one. Till then, take care and love two-wheeler industry, because we have 3 fuel options in 1 lakh. Where in this world is happening? Absolutely nowhere.